I'll turn it over to Jeff Hayward, President and CEO of Heart of Florida United Way.
Thank you, Ashley, and thank you, everyone, for taking the time to attend this virtual press conference. The issue why we're bringing you together today and asking you to tell the story is about what we see as the impending eviction crisis that's on the horizon. The United Way response so far with respect to the COVID-19 crisis and its impact on ALIS families. ALIS, as you all know, is asset limited, income constrained, employed. Those families who are living on the edge, working very hard, but having no assets to tap into in case of a financial emergency. Those families were struggling before and are struggling even more now during this pandemic. We launched the ALIS Recovery Fund back in mid-March. We've been very fortunate. We've raised $1.9 million for that. Unfortunately, we've had over 14,000 formal requests for assistance. And if you do the math, that works out to, what our goal was $1,200 per family. That works out to over $7 in need that has been requested. And again, we've raised just under $2 million. 211, we were obviously 211 is a vital community resource. People would call for any type of social or human service need they might have. The 211 call numbers on a regular day would be about 700 calls on an average per day. We, at one point, were reaching as many as 3,200 to 3,400 per day. It was quadrupled and more. It has subsided a bit, but we're still handling about twice the normal level of calls. We're, again, hovering between 1,300 to 1,500. The current situation we have here in Florida, as you all know, you reporting on the news, you know it better than most, is that we still have 1.4 million people in Florida who are jobless. The unemployment rate for the U.S. is 13.3%. Nationally, it's hovering right around there. But the study just came out and showed unemployment rates by county. And unfortunately, if you look across the country, Osceola County is the #1 county for the highest unemployment rates, and they're at 31.1% for the month of May. Orange County is the second highest with 23.2%, and Lake and Polk are right behind there as well. So we've got 4 of the top 10 counties in the country for the percentage of unemployment. It's certainly impacting Central Florida much harder than most. On July 25th, one of the concerns is that the $600 per week federal benefit, the unemployment benefit, runs out. So if you were able to get unemployment benefits, you're going to lose that $600 pretty soon. Utility companies, thankfully, announced a moratorium on disconnects and shutoffs. Those moratoriums are running out, and disconnects will soon be happening coming July and August. Some companies have stepped up and made a considerable amount of dollars available to help their customers, but again, utility shutoffs will soon resume. And as we know, COVID cases are once again on the rise. Our big concern for today is the eviction crisis that's on our horizon. As you know, Governor DeSantis issued a moratorium on evictions. That was set to expire today. Thankfully, last evening, he issued an extension, so now that expires on August 1st. But the rent meter, so to speak, continues to run. Rent continues to accrue. The moratorium does not mean that people don't need to pay rent. It means they can't get evicted right now for not paying their rent. 2,600 evictions have been filed since April in Florida. In contrast, we normally would have during this time 2,600 for these same months of April, May, and June. We would be averaging 2,600 evictions filed just in Orange County for these 3 months. The reason why the eviction filings are so low, we believe, and what we're hearing from legal aid societies and landlords, is they're not filing right now because it does no good. There is a moratorium, so landlords are waiting, and they, as it was described the other day to us, there's going to be a pent-up demand once this eviction moratorium runs out. Again, unemployment rates in Central Florida are at record highs. More than 1/3 of Floridians reported recently that they had difficulty paying this month's rent or will have difficulty paying next month's rent, and that includes mortgages. And that data comes from the U.S. Census Bureau in the most recent Household Pulse survey. So 1/3 of Floridians are already at risk or leading that way. In Orange County alone, so far for the month since April, Orange County has had 171 evictions filed, Osceola has had 63, and Seminole has had 43. Again, that is due, we think those numbers are low because of the moratorium. It has held off landlords from filing. A new report came out just a couple of days ago too regarding foreclosures, where it reported that the percentage of Florida homeowners who could not or did not pay their mortgage for the month of May puts Florida at the 5th highest among all 50 states for those families unable to pay their mortgage. That's about 389,000 households, representing 3.7 million mortgages in Florida. That's almost 400,000 households are already reporting that they're having difficulty or could not pay their rent. And again, that puts us 5th in the country for those situations. We do know there's a federal moratorium on foreclosures that expires August 31st for any federally backed mortgages, Freddie and Fannie Mae mortgages. So there is some protection in place till August 31st. Again, the meter is still running, the mortgages are still coming due. It's just that they can't move forward with evictions and foreclosures. So what are the consequences? Well, obviously homelessness. If families are evicted because they're not going to be able to pay their rent once this moratorium is lifted, or not be able to pay their mortgage, homelessness is obviously the issue that we'll all see. But I would liken this to an iceberg, that we know that analogy, that you see what's above the water, but the real damage and the real danger is what's beneath the water. And that to us is the real concern, is that the consequences that we don't always see are hiding just beneath the water. What does that mean? That means when a family is going to be evicted or foreclosed upon, their children may be pulled out of that school and have to go to a new school. We know from all the science and studies out there, when a child is taken away from a teacher, when that bond is broken, that level of trust and commitment from the teacher, that has an impact on that child, both on their learning abilities, but also emotionally as well. Families may not be able to find another affordable housing option. If you imagine if they're being evicted because they can't pay the rent, they then need to find a new apartment. That means they're going to need first, last security deposit to move into that apartment, and they may not be able to find that affordable option. And if they do, it's probably further away from the downtown area or away from their job. So they'll have a fewer proximity, they'll have tougher proximity issues to shopping and to schools and to other transit options, such as the Lynx bus line. There'll be fewer jobs the further you move out, so the job availability is a problem. Perhaps access to healthcare, and certainly if they are evicted, it damages their credit, because that goes on your record. And when you apply for a new apartment, not only do you have to come up with first, last, and security, but they do run a credit check, as we know, and it will come back that you were evicted, which is going to cause a chilling effect, I would think, for any landlord to now let you in. We could all sit back and say, well, this is just what happens during a recession, during a tough economic time. We saw it happen in 2008, 2009. We've seen it happen before. It's just the market. It's just what our economy does. And we could just accept that. And I would argue that certainly the United Way's DNA, inaction is not going to be a response that's a reasonable response. We cannot just sit back and let the process play out without trying to at least save and help some families. There's a story out there, and I'm sure many of you have heard it, of the starfish on the beach. A major storm comes through, and in this case, the storm is COVID-19 and all the economic harm being wreaked upon us. Well, a storm comes through and washes up thousands and thousands of starfish on the beach. And a little girl is on the beach, and she picks up a starfish and she throws it out into the ocean. And then she picks up another one, she throws it into the ocean. And a gentleman comes along and says, "Little girl, what are you doing?" And she says, "Well, I'm saving the starfish." And he says, "Little girl, there are thousands here. Nothing you can do will matter." And she bends down and picks up another starfish and throws it in the ocean and says, "It matters to that one." And she bends down and picks up another starfish and she says, "And it matters to that one." So at the end of the day, we could all just sit back and let everything happen. But United Way's response, and I think our community response, is if we could save one starfish, one family, 50 families, 100 families, 1,000 families from eviction or foreclosure, then it will matter to them and it will strengthen our fabric of our community. Unfortunately, the perfect storm is on our horizon. We have our Alice Recovery Fund, as I said. We have a waiting list of over 14,000 The money is gone. We've raised almost $2 million, but with $17 million in need, the fund, our philanthropy efforts have reached its peak. Orange County experienced the same issue when they opened up their rental assistance line. They had over 50,000 calls within just minutes. COVID is still peaking. Businesses are closing. They're scaling back. They're reopening. Unemployment is running out. You're seeing more businesses lately forcing more layoffs and even bankruptcies. Granted, the eviction moratorium has been lifted till August 1st, but the clock is still ticking. Our safety net, speaking on behalf of nonprofits, our safety net is not only stretched and it's not only beginning to fray, it is breaking in certain areas. Again, the Alice Fund has been depleted. Nonprofits are seeing increased demands. Talking to my colleagues across Central Florida, it's a cruel inverse relationship. Whenever these types of times are upon us, where there's tough economic times, the fundraising is also down. The resources available are down, and it makes it more difficult for nonprofits to respond to that increase in demand. My point is that we're not going to philanthropy our way out of this. We're not going to be able to hold another bake sale or a car wash to raise enough money to help the folks that we need to. Nonprofits and philanthropy and charitable giving cannot do this alone. There is good news. There are CARES Act funds that have been made available. We know that Orange County got about $243 million, and they're putting that to work. We know the governor made about $240 million available recently, with $120 million that will go to rental and mortgage assistance. My argument is it's still not going to be enough. And why we're telling you this is a tidal wave that is about to hit. It could cause thousands of families across Central Florida to become homeless. We know in this state, the court system, the way it works is if you have eviction papers served upon you, you're given a 3-day notice to quit. You have 5 days to respond, but in order to file your response with the court, that response needs to be accompanied by the amount of money that is in question of what you owe. So if you owe 3 months rent and you're arguing you can't pay your rent, you can't file your response unless you file for 3 months in back rent. We also learned from the Chief Justice here and the Clerk of Courts and some legal aid lawyers that you may file your response, you may put up the money that you claim is in dispute because you couldn't pay your rent. If the ruling is against you and you are ultimately evicted, you could potentially lose those dollars. So now you will have paid your back 2 or 3 months rent, you would have still been evicted, and now you need, again, first last security to get a new apartment. So not everyone has their day in court when it comes to an eviction. If you have not paid your rent, that is grounds for eviction, and the only way you get your day in court is to be able to afford to get your day in court. It's not guaranteed. So we're calling on the community, one, if there are folks out there who have given to their cause of choice, whether it's food, homelessness, whatever the cause is that people are right now struggling to find for their own families, now is the time, if you're fortunate enough to still have a job, to still have a roof over your head, is to continue to give, not just in a United Way, but continue to give to the nonprofit or the cause that inspires you the most. Continue to give. And if you can, and you're fortunate enough, give a little more, because these times that we are entering now and the tidal wave that's about to hit is going to be like none other seen before. We also know that the community needs to come together. They have come together in the past. When you look at homelessness years ago, when we formed the Homeless Commission, the private sector stepped up, government stepped up, and philanthropy stepped up. And all of the sectors came together, didn't have the answers by any stretch when they first sat down, but they got smart people around the table to ask some smart questions and figure out where the resources were, what the solutions were, and they began to brainstorm, they began to work together to solve the problem. The same thing happened after Pulse. Certainly no one was prepared for the Pulse tragedy, but when it happened, the community came together, all sectors, the nonprofit community, the business community, and the government sector as well. And we came up with a solution. Again, philanthropy is not going to be the sole response to this. We need all sectors, and that's what we're calling on the community today, is to come together, get some smart people around the table, and let's get to work as we have in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. We have one question that has come into the chat box or the Q&A box. Can you comment on the CARES money from Governor DeSantis, who he earmarked, and how it will help?
Yeah, thank you, Peter King, for the question. We're very happy that the governor did put up the CARES money, and we're happy to see what the county is doing with its money as well. What I don't see anywhere is a plan. Philanthropy is doing its thing, government's doing its thing, private sector has tried to step up, but the community has not come together. And I think the first thing we need to do is come up with a plan that works for our community. What might be happening in another community, in another state may not work for us. So yes, there's a lot of money on the table, but I don't think anyone has stepped back to say, here's the total need. These are the dollars we have. What's the delta? How do we best put those dollars to work? And then how do we fill that delta to continue to come up and fight this problem? I honestly don't think money is going to be the only solution. I don't think, given the, you heard the numbers, where a third can't pay their rent or their mortgage. I have not calculated what that means. What is the total dollar? So I don't know really if we know how much money it is, but I do think we need policies, we need other practices, county by county, and we need as much flexibility in this state to respond in a way to save as many families as we can. I think it is a great thing that those CARES Act dollars are made available. I hope there are more to come. I hope the state and the county continues to look in, under every cushion and behind every door to see if there's other dollars out there on the federal level we could get. But certainly it's something that needs to start with, I think, a cohesive, well thought out plan that's inclusive of everyone in the community. I know Peter had a follow-up question where, can I comment on lessons learned from other United Ways across the state or the country? Much of it is done state by state because of all the state laws that apply to evictions and the court processes and so forth. I have talked to my colleagues. In fact, I was on a very lengthy call yesterday to see what others were doing. And much of it does rest with the court system. So as many of you know, I came from the United Way up in Boston. Up there, you're guaranteed a court date if you're evicted. You get a 30-day notice to quit. You are guaranteed your day in court. You don't have to come up with the back rent and give it to the court. So they have more flexibility. They have what they call the eviction diversion program, where they've got legal aid attorneys negotiating with landlords to avoid eviction, divert them out of the eviction process, get the landlord paid, get the tenant to be maintained in stable housing. They use charitable dollars and they use state dollars to help pay off the back rent, but they also work out on payment plans. So that's worked in other states. Because of the court system here and the way it is that you need to, in order to get your day in court, you need to put the money up front. That may inhibit some of the eviction diversion programs that we might begin to model from other states. Others are trying other things and we're looking at them for best practice, but again, some of them won't fit given the situation we have here in Florida. There's another question here from Greg Angel. Can you clarify the 1.9 raise? What period of time is that from? We launched the fund, the Alice Recovery Fund, March 17th, and we began soliciting dollars from companies and individuals. We had some amazing individuals step up with going online and literally giving a $50,000 personal contribution. We had many companies, and you can see those on our website, who have stepped up, everything from SunTrust to Dr. Phillips Charities and others who stepped up and contributed to the fund as well. Lots of individual donors of $50 and $100. A lot of local foundations and even foundations across the country that had some connection. So we were able to amass that 1.9 million. That started in March, and to be quite honest, the numbers certainly after the first month or so began to diminish. You know, not as many donations were coming in. Having said that, we did receive yesterday another $25,000 individual donation and another $4,000 individual donation. We're afraid, though, that the bulk mass of those dollars has run out. We will continue to solicit. We will continue to ask donors, as I'm doing today, if you are fortunate enough to be in a position to give, please give. If not to United Way, find the charity of your choice that inspires you to give, and please give as much as you can. Another question from Peter King. Is it realistic of an expectation for people and companies to step up with so many trying to keep themselves afloat? Certainly we face this in any economic time, Peter. When unemployment rates were high, and again, I was working at United Way in 2008, 2009, and I saw that occurring, where more and more people were being laid off, fewer and fewer people could contribute. It's the reality. It's just math. If you have fewer people who are in a position to give, you need to rely on more people who are still able to give more, or you find other revenue streams. And we will continue to do that. For someone who is not working and is not perhaps getting unemployment or only getting unemployment, it is unrealistic to expect them to step up. They are in a position where they need the help. We've had donors call us who've been giving to us for years, and they've called recently and said, I've never had to ask for help before, ever in my life. And I've given to United Way for many years, and now they're embarrassed to find themselves in the position of seeking help. So is it realistic to expect them to continue? I think it's realistic to expect people to step up to give as much as they can, but we do acknowledge that with fewer and fewer people working, more and more businesses struggling, it is a tougher climb out there. But again, this is my point of we can't expect to philanthropy our way out of this, to do another bake sale or a car wash. This is going to require a good, strong strategic plan that involves all sectors.
Great. That is all the questions that have been submitted through the Q&A. So that will adjourn our virtual press conference. As I noted in the chat box, we do have a fact sheet that will be made available with many of the facts and figures that Jeff mentioned throughout his address. And also, if you'd like a one-on-one interview with Jeff following this event, we have that available to you as well. The email address is listed in the chat for you to shoot a note to schedule that. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you.